Okay, so day 4, and as usual, the rain has arrived. Well, I never actually thought I'd ever get this close to a sloth. Well, I'm not sure you'll get a better view of the Talamanca Mountains starting there in the distance, which head right the way to Panama City, right down the spine of Panama, all the way to the highest peak at Volcan Baru, right the way through and into Costa Rica. What an incredible view that is. That's the best view we've had of the mountains. A lot of the mornings the cloud cover just distorts the view a little bit, but this is a full view from one end to the other and right into the distance. Lovely to see the layering effect as well of the hills as they climb towards the highest peaks, which Volcan Baru is 3,476 meters, if my memory serves me correctly. How wonderful is that? Brown and white. They look like the other tuxedo. Well, hello everyone and welcome to another tropical edition of Wild Your Garden. And in this video, boy, have I got a treat for you, because today there is behind me no less than 7 miles of the Snider Canal here on the western fringes of Panama, not far from the Costa Rican border. And what an incredible place this is. We are already surrounded by mangrove swallows, which are a bit like home from home, like my favourite bird, the house martin back in the UK. Gorgeous little birds, but have more of a kind of a greeny sheen to their back. I'll put you some images in of those. Just fantastic to see them. They live purely on kind of the sea edge, if you like, where the forest meets the edge of the sea. Just incredible. Anyway, the Snider Canal, an incredible place. This thing that's 7 miles long was dug in 1898 by a barge and a dredge, like the old, well, you can only imagine the kind of tools they used to dig this canal back in those times, by the United Fruit Company for transporting Chiquita bananas. This is an alluvial plain behind us. Basically, the Talamanca Mountains are in that direction, and it's a great flat plain where they were able to plant thousands of banana trees in order to grow the bananas that Chiquita we all know is an absolute iconic brand, if you like, of these bananas. And this canal was used to fetch the bananas right from these alluvial plains right out to behind me, where the ships could collect them, where it is deep enough for the big transporter ships to come in and collect all this fruit, which is then shipped around the world. And this area was used predominantly because it was a piece of land that stretched far out from the Talamancas. Most of the land around the Talamanca Mountains, it almost comes straight down to sea level, so there's not much kind of floodplain, if you like, at the bottom of those mountains for fruit production. So it's not very flat, it comes almost straight down and goes straight into the ocean. So here's really great because you've got these lovely flat lands for several miles, which then this goes straight into the Changuinola River, which is part of one of the major river systems that runs through from the mountains and is obviously funneling that water down this way, so creates a great plateau of fertile land in order to grow the bananas here. So yeah, what a fantastic place, and I really can't wait to get birding this. We've got Brenda with us today. She's going to be helping spot all the birds. Jim's obviously on spotting duty as well, and I'm going to be doing my best to try and keep up with the filming, and hopefully we might, fingers crossed, get a glimpse of maybe some manatees, which would just be incredible. If we don't, however, I'm sure there's plenty of other stuff. I'm really hoping we can get some good shots of some blue morphos today, which would be incredible. Well, not my favorite butterfly, but one of them is one of my kind of life ticks, if you like. We've seen one or two on this trip to Panama already, but I would love to see some more. Just on the way here, it's been incredible. We've had magnificent frigate birds flying almost alongside the boat, trying to catch fish off other birds. We've had juvenile and mature brown boobies flying alongside the boat. It's just been incredible, and we've only just arrived at this point, so an early start, but well worth it, I'm sure, and I can't wait to see what this canal has to offer. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I might tick my my lifetime list off of seeing a caiman. If we don't, though, it's no dramas. I'm sure there'll be plenty of other stuff, as I say. So without further ado, stick around and let's see what we can find in this incredible place. It's just so biodiverse here. I really can't wait to show you guys this place. And of course, if you haven't seen already, do check out on the channel the Panama playlist. Tons of cool stuff for you to watch, and we can, I'm sure, bring you much more from today. And stay tuned, lots more to come, and here we go. Let's see what we can find. Well, Jim, I reckon even without the two reasonably good-looking chaps in front of the camera, that's not a bad view, is it?
No, it's not. It's an incredible place for all the different wildlife here. We're going to hit so many habitats along the way today.
Yeah.
And we've only come in...
Yeah, what are we, 100 metres in?
Yeah, maybe 200 meters in at the most.
Fire me off some of the birds we've already had.
Yeah, okay. So we came in and we had...
I can name the first ones, the mangrove swallows.
Mangrove swallows, that's right. We've had a great blue heron. We've had some kingfishers, several ringed kingfishers.
Yep.
We had some thick-billed seed finch. We've had golden-hooded tanager, collared arsaris that just flew by.
Yeah, there's a third one
perched in the tree, and another one right up in there. We've had Montezuma oropendulas again. We've had red lord parrots, blue-headed parrots, long-billed
got our favourite,
Kiskadee, that's
Kiskadee.
right. Yeah, and we had a lesser flycatcher as well. Several migrants, prothonotary warblers for one, and some eastern and western wood peewees as well. We had a squirrel, first mammal of the day. Anyways, we're doing pretty good so far.
Yeah, not
bad for 30 minutes.
Not bad. Shall we motor on and see what the next 100 yards has to bring?
Let's go find some more habitat.
Let's do it.
All right.
So every time we seem to go another 100 yards further down into the canal, we flush what I think is the same little blue heron. He obviously flies down the canal, finds a perch, and so he's kind of frog hopping his way down the canal in front of us. So it's really nice to see this gorgeous kind of slate blue heron flying away from you over this glass-like water. It's just incredible. I'm not sure I'll have a birding trip like this for a while. Well, guys, I'm absolutely over the moon right now. This is something that I didn't even mention, I don't think, in the beginning of this video, because I knew it would be the most minute of chances if we saw one. But I can't believe I'm actually stood almost underneath a great potoo, which is a bird. Oh God, it's something that I've wanted to see for so long. Can't even remember where it is now. Oh, he's up there. Oh no, he's further up. He's on that branch there. How Jim spotted it as we were going past in the boat, I have no idea. These guys are the masters of camouflage. They're like a giant nightjar, if you like, is the only thing I can compare it to in the UK. And they're just incredible. If you just search great potoo, they have this amazing cryptic sort of coloration on their back and their chest. They look just like part of a branch, or I mean, this one's perched like sometimes I've seen a nightjar do, where they're kind of along the branch, if the branch is like this, and then they're just kind of angled off it to look like another branch coming off it. Too many birds in here, it's too noisy. But they are just incredibly hard to spot. Quite often, as some of the guys that have been out on the tours this week have found, they'll be sat right on top of like a post or a dead stump in the ground, and they kind of sit bolt upright with their head up like this, and you just think it's a continuation. They just wrap their wings around the post as they go down, and they just look like a continuation of the post. It's just unbelievable. And these guys are incredible. I'm sure there's a video on YouTube somewhere you can have a look at, where if you just search potoo mouth, they are absolutely insane. They just open up, they're massive, and they're like bright pink inside. Just this giant, they're like almost like a baby bird. You know when you see birds in like a nest and they're sort of mouth wide open waiting for the parents to feed them? They're just like that, and they use these giant mouths. Where we are here on the edge of the canal, they'll be flying up and down here, Jim informs me, during the night. They're a nocturnal bird, and they'll be catching insects on the wing. And my goodness, are they something else. There's two species of potoo found here in Panama. There's the common potoo and the great potoo. This is the great potoo. It is a bit bigger than the common potoo, and wow, I mean, just what a life tick. I never ever thought, I mean, I'm not one for lists, but if there was a bird that I would love to see before I die, it's this one. My God, it's just insane, the coloration on it. I've never seen anything like it other than a nightjar, which I've only seen a couple of times. The sort of North Yorkshire moors, a very elusive bird, but there are other sort of nighthawks and nightjars here as well, which would be great if we can see them. But if not, this ticks all boxes for me. So Jim, I think we can turn the boat round and go home now.
Okay.
I'm currently stood on the bow of the boat. Yeah, we've got a few more things to find. But yeah, great to see. Great to see the great potoo. What an amazing bird this is. It's just mind-blowing. I'm just going to enjoy him for a few more moments, take a few more photos before we move on. As if this day couldn't get any better, we have come no more than 100 meters from seeing the great potoo. I can still see the tree that it's sat in, and Alvaro, God knows how he spotted it, but it's two tiny little black lumps in there. And believe it or not, just like I didn't promise, but I suggested we may find, there are two short-tailed nighthawks, which are just phenomenal birds, along with the great potoo. Again, a bird I never thought I'd see in this part of the world. They are a resident species here in Panama, and very, very difficult to see. Notoriously difficult, because like any nightjar, these guys are mostly nocturnal. So again, they're going to be perched up during the day, and they just, with the camouflage, you know, they've got this sort of dark brown mottle and a few sort of white specks on the back and the wings. So they look exactly like part of the tree itself, especially when you've got it sort of backlit and silhouetted like they are in the tree. We've managed to get some shots with Jim's scope, which is just fantastic, and I honestly cannot believe the stuff we are seeing here today. And these guys will obviously hunt at night for a lot of the moth species, a lot of insects. You can imagine the amount of invertebrates that are going to be over this canal at night, moths in particular, and they've got a very bat-like flight. So yes, you've got a very slim chance of seeing them if you indeed want to come to Panama to see one. But I just feel incredibly fortunate to have had the opportunity, thanks to Alvaro's keen eyes. I mean, just wow. You'd never ever spot that if you weren't used to it. And these guys, like I say, just look like part of the tree. They kind of blend in. They look like part of a fork that comes out from the main stem and then it's been sort of snapped off. And these guys are sort of, at the moment, eyes shut. You know, they're trying to get some sleep while I'm jabbering away. So we're going to leave them in peace and see what else this incredible canal has to throw at us. Just caught sight of our first blue morpho, which was just kind of in this darker patch, flitting around the edge of the water. Jim promises me thousands of them today, so fingers crossed we can try and bring you a few more, or at least one. I didn't manage to film it, it was in and out before I had a chance to get the camera out. What a place. It's hard to see, but there is 100% a blue morpho, the first one I've seen on this trip to Panama that's actually sat still. Most of the time there's this blue flash and you don't even get to see anything more than that, but here there's one sat on a leaf, so we'll see if we can get a few shots for you. So maybe a little tatty, but that's the blue morpho nonetheless. I'm not 100% sure of which species yet. I'll have to check the ID books when I get back. Obviously it's not a butterfly that I see a lot of in the UK, as you can imagine. Probably because they don't exist in the UK. Those markings on the wings. You can just see he's had a hard time. He's had something pecking at the back of him because he's got some serious chunks out the wings. I say he, could be a she. But I'll be able to tell from the markings when I get back exactly which species of morpho this is. There are a few here in Panama. What a butterfly. So just on this limb here, we have a brown basilisk, which is a pretty cool lizard. He's very conscious we're here right now. Just looks prehistoric. They've got this kind of almost wattle off the back of the head. I think he's relying on the fact that he's motionless hoping that we haven't seen him. Wrong. What a creature. Well, I don't mind that. It's morpho number 2. And I know this is a different butterfly because he has his wings fully intact. His hind wings, the last one was really battered on the back, but still gorgeous in flight, and managed to get a brilliant little slow-mo piece for you guys. Oh, that blue is just electric when they open their wings up. And of course they've got these eyes on the underside as a bit of a deterrent for anything that might want to predate them, that might think maybe this is an owl. A bit like the owl butterfly, the eyes on the underside of this particular morpho aren't as big, and there's a few of them. What a creature. Thanks to Alvaro's expert boat steering skills at the moment, I'm able to get these shots for you guys.
Taped him when he flew or not?
I was about to, but... So right now we've got
collared swifts. Those are collared swifts.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but we've definitely got a mass migration of collared swifts overhead, all flying
in eastern kingbirds
in this direction. Eastern kingbirds and all sorts of what look like swallows, black swifts, yeah, and martins. Just incredible. It's hard to tell with the light. It's very difficult. Hard to get any good shots of them, but they're quite high up, and they're all just hundreds of them flying in a certain direction. Again, just emphasizing the fact that this narrow channel, this bottleneck of 38 or so miles from the coast to the ridge of the Talamanca Mountains, is forcing all these migratory birds down through Central America, but in particular where we are in Panama here, there's a very narrow bottleneck, which is why this place is incredible for migration. Yesterday we saw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of raptors moving through. Just amazing. October is certainly a good time of year to be here. So here we are, part way down the canal, and I'm some 5,000 plus miles from England, and we just stopped to use the restroom, shall we say, and what did I stumble across? The exact same plant, give or take, that I plant in the ponds in the UK, and that is a water plantain, which is a gorgeous little plant, has these kind of upright leaves with this lovely little stem with a white flower on top, and here it is flowering in October. So brilliant to see. You can see a few taller specimens there with the flowers higher up. What a cracking plant, and just incredible to see. Just goes to show, doesn't it, that aquatic plants have, you know, certain genuses that are replicated all around the world. Doesn't matter where you are, there's sort of slightly different, no doubt this is a slightly different species, but looks pretty similar to me. But yeah, wonderful to see.
No, nadie quiere cortar así, no.
No, tú estás la única que corta.
Porque yo paso por ahí por eso.
Ese es algo para todos los gentes.
Allá arriba quiere ver un poco hierba.
Hierba, un poco de hierba.
Allá
allá
otro
arriba.
lado, este lado quiere, ese cierra.
Wow.
Y
So,
está chaveado.
Julio here He lives here on the canal. He has for quite some time, and he takes it upon himself to go up and down the canal in this cayuco here and cut out all the grasses and water hyacinths that can, sometimes a storm comes in and a big glut will push into the canal off of the river mouth where you'll see up there, and it'll get blocked off with some of these aquatic plants. And he takes his boat in there and paddles into it, walks out on top of it like a gallinule, and starts cutting with his machete, reaching way down into the water, and cuts off a big chunk of it. And then he jams a couple sticks in the ground, and then he gets in his cayuco and he starts pushing and pushing and pushing until it breaks off a big chunk of it and it floats away.
Wow.
And he keeps doing that until it opens up. So he's the guy that keeps it, and he doesn't work for the municipality or anything like that. It's just he lives here and he's got to keep it open, so he does.
Wow.
So every time we see Mr. Julio, we stop along and tell him how much we appreciate it.
Muchas gracias.
Sí, muchísimas gracias para dejando el canal abierto.
Sí, sí.
Esa es una cosa muy importante. Un recurso por toda la gente.
Mucha gente más.
Oh, a lot of people use this, and I was telling them it's very important that we keep it open because this is a resource for everybody.
Yeah.
We use it for wildlife, and he uses it to get in and out of his homestead. But it's a very important thing that he does, and we appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Julio. Thank you. ¿Y cómo está la finca?
La finca está más o menos.
Más o menos. Su pollitos está alegre.
Quiere comer.
Sí, sí, sí. Mira, tu gata quiere comer. He says his cat thinks that we brought it some fish. That's why he's sitting there going, every time he pulls up in his boat, he gives the cat some fish. So she's waiting for a fish, and I'm sorry that we don't have any. Okay, Mr. Julio. Hasta luego. Anybody want something to drink? Alvaro? Nikki, you all right? Good? Get out of here? Okay. That old man is strong. And you get to bring in some of the indigenous people too.
So I thought this would be a good place to stop and show you guys another one of the plants that looks very similar to one that I plant all the time in the UK around the wildlife ponds that I make. That is this stuff, which the leaves look almost identical to brook lime, which of course in England has a lovely little blue flower in Europe, if you like, in the northern hemisphere. Here, as you can see behind me, these huge rafts of it has a lovely little white flower, a bit like water crow's foot, but the leaves, like I say, are kind of a really nice example of brook lime almost. But then it has these little kind of, well, I'm not sure what they are in between actually, these little white kind of nodules, which are possibly kind of a root structure, which then the roots come off. You can see the roots, and this is just like a floating plant. There's water underneath all of this, so they're not rooted into the ground, which is a very similar habit again to brook lime. and you can see these wonderful expanses that's covered here. The great thing about this is, as I look at it, it's just full of insects. It's full of bees, hoverflies, there's quite a few butterflies flying around as well. Don't ask me what they are. But there's loads and loads of insects all over these little white flowers. And on the other side of the canal, just a little bit further up, there's another plant that I want to show you that is equally as gorgeous. And in the background over there somewhere, I'll try and put you a picture in, is a northern jacana, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous bird. The only thing I can liken it to in the UK or Europe, Northern Europe especially, is like a moorhen, but it's a little bit more colourful than that. A lovely kind of rusty brown back, and this beautiful yellow on the top of its beak, similar to a coot, I guess, but with a yellow beak. Yeah, gorgeous. So let's go and have a look at the other plant I want to show you. So we've just had a green heron, been very obliging, just walking its way steadily along the edge of the vegetation. Meanwhile, that squawking noise is two jacanas displaying, and they are somewhere just about there. And they're just raising the underside of their wings is completely yellow, so they're kind of raising their arms or their wings right up in the air and displaying at each other. Quite incredible to see. So this beautiful plant behind me here is water hyacinth, and you can see the resemblance to the hyacinths that we might have on display inside our houses in the UK or in Europe. And these are just gorgeous. Look at that, absolutely beautiful. It's lovely pinky purple with almost going to white in the centre, with a little yellow dot in the middle of a kind of violet colour in the central petal at the top. Absolutely beautiful. As you can see, they do form a big clump. So they might be classed as an invasive if you put them in a small pond, so not highly recommended, although out here it doesn't really matter. Look at these dragonflies as well. And what I would say is these are all plants that we're just doing some research for the wildlife pond that we've been making, building at Tranquilo Bay at Jim's place. So if you haven't seen that video already, then do check out the wildlife pond that I've been making here in Panama, as this is a nice bit of research for us. So these sorts of plants Jim will be thinking about acquiring and putting in the pond. There are some beauties, and the dragonflies here are just incredible. There's a black one just landed in front of me, some real bright red ones. Yesterday we saw some pink and purple ones. They're just every colour of the rainbow, but really nice to see. And then you've got kind of, as it turns back into less water and more, or shallower water, you've got more grasses and sedges further back there. So a really beautiful natural habitat. I could spend quite a bit of time here, I think. As a boy, as I'm sure many of you did, I used to have stick insects, and I remember having the Indian stick insect and pink-winged stick insect, and coming home one day from school, to my mother's horror, to find that they'd actually bred, and there were about 100 tiny pink-winged stick insects that have crawled through the top of the cage and gone all around the bedroom. And here we are in Panama with a live specimen. It has wings. I'm not saying it's a pink-winged stick insect. I don't remember the pink-winged having these curved antennae like this one does. But what a magical insect. It's actually got a leg missing on the back left. Oh, there we go. It's a bit like a mayfly. Here it is. Oh, there he is, back on the boat. I'm going to pick him up because I want him to go back on the vegetation. But just wanted to show you guys this beautiful creature. Oh. There he is, landed on the... Don't want to leave the boat. Come on. There we go. Quick shot before it flies. What a creature, eh? Put him in the sun. The boat's moved around now.